There is a strange thing that happens in Canada around age 40 or 45. You start looking around at your life, your bank account, your neighbors, and you quietly wonder, am I actually doing okay? Or am I one bad month away from disaster? Nobody talks about this openly. Not at the dinner table, not at the office, not even with your closest friends, because in this country, we have been trained to measure wealth in the loudest possible way. The driveway, the vacation photos, the renovation, the watch. But here is the secret: the big five banks will never print in a pamphlet. Real wealth in Canada in 2026 is silent. It is invisible. It does not post on Instagram. And if you are watching this right now, there is a very real chance you have already crossed the finish line without even realizing it. Because while the average Canadian household is drowning in over $1.85 of debt for every dollar of disposable income, a quiet minority is doing something completely different. And by the end of this video, you are going to know exactly where you stand. Let us start with the first sign. And it is the one nobody expects. You sleep through the night. That sounds too simple to be a wealth indicator. But Statistics Canada surveys on financial stress show that over 47% of Canadians are losing sleep over money in 2026. If you can close your eyes at 11 p.m. and not calculate your Visa balance in your head, you are already ahead of nearly half the country. Financial peace is not a feeling. It is a math outcome. The second sign is even quieter. You do not know your credit card balance because you do not carry one. The average Canadian household is now sitting on more than $21,000 in non-mortgage consumer debt, and the standard credit card in this country charges 19.99 to 22.99% interest. If you are paying your card in full every month, you are not just being responsible, you are refusing to hand the banks roughly $4,000 a year of pure interest for the privilege of borrowing your own future. That is a Tim Hortons run every single day, forever, that you get to keep. The third sign is the one that separates the pretend rich from the actually free. Your car is boring. It is paid off. It is a Toyota, a Honda, maybe a Mazda, and it is somewhere between 6 and 12 years old. Meanwhile, 1 in 5 new car buyers in Canada is now signing 84-month loans on vehicles they cannot actually afford. If you are driving a boring paid-off car in a country where the average new vehicle now costs over $66,000, you are not behind. You are winning a race most people do not even know they are running. Sign number 4. You have maxed out your TFSA, or you are actively closing the gap. As of 2026, the cumulative TFSA contribution room for someone who has been eligible since 2009 is $102,000. Only about 9% of Canadians have fully maxed it out. If your TFSA is anywhere north of $75,000, invested in low-cost ETFs like VGR or XEQT instead of a big 5 mutual fund charging a 2% mere, you are quietly building a tax-free fortress that the CRA cannot touch for the rest of your life. Sign 5. You have never heard of your neighbor's vacation. Because you are not watching. Behavioral economists call this the escape from social comparison, and it is one of the strongest predictors of long-term net worth. The average Canadian household spends 15 to 20% more when using tap to pay versus cash, largely driven by the invisible pressure of keeping up. If you have quietly opted out of that game, you are not antisocial. You are financially free. Sign 6. You get bored at the mall. Dopamine-driven spending is the single biggest wealth killer in this country, and Loblaws, Amazon, and every fast fashion outlet is engineered to exploit it. If walking through a shopping center now feels like walking through a museum of things you do not need, congratulations, your brain has been rewired for wealth. Sign 7. Your grocery bill is under control. The average Canadian family of 4 is now spending over $16,800 a year on food, largely at Loblaws banners where a loaf of Wonder Bread costs $4.39 versus $2.99 at No Frills. If you shop at No Frills, Freshco, or Costco without shame, you are pocketing roughly $3,000 a year that your neighbors are handing to Galen Weston. Sign 8. You know your net worth to the nearest thousand, not your salary, not your home value, your actual number. Assets minus liabilities. Fewer than 30% of Canadians can state this figure accurately. If you can, you are operating like a strategic capital allocator, not a consumer. Sign 9. Your mortgage does not scare you. With the mortgage cliff hitting hundreds of thousands of Canadians ruining in 2025 and 2026 at rates double what they signed in 2020. The average payment shock is running between $400 and $900 a month. If your renewal came and went without a panic attack, you either bought within your means or you crushed your principal aggressively. Both are elite behaviors. Sign 10. You have an FHSA, an RRSP, and a TFSA. And you know which one to use first. The first home savings account launched in 2023 gives you a tax deduction on the way in and tax-free growth on the way out. It is a double tax shield. And most Canadians still have not opened one. If you are stacking all three accounts strategically, you are playing chess while the country plays checkers. Sign 11. You have a boring investing strategy. No day trading, no crypto gambling, no stock picks from a TikTok guy. Just index funds, dividend reinvestment plans on Canadian bank and utility stocks, and 20 years of patience. Historical data on DRIPS from companies like Royal Bank, Inbridge, and Fortis shows compounding that quietly turns $500 a month into over $600,000 into decades. Sign 12. You have 3 to 6 months of expenses in a high-interest savings account. Not invested, not locked up, just sitting there, doing nothing, waiting. In a country where 44% of Canadians say they are $200 away from insolvency, an emergency fund is not paranoia. It is armor. Sign 13. You do not feel poor when you say no. To the destination wedding, to the group vacation, to the upgrade, to the renovation your neighbor just did. Saying no without guilt is the number one skill of the invisible millionaire. Sign 14. Your kids do not have everything because you have quietly figured out that funding in RRSP with the 20% CESG match from the government is worth infinitely more than another plastic toy that will be forgotten by March. Sign 15. And this is the one that changes everything. You have stopped chasing 6.5. You know that CPP grows 0.7% every month. You delay past 65, and OAS grows 0.6%. You know that a properly executed RRSP meltdown between 55 and 65 can save you 6 figures in lifetime tax. You are not waiting for permission from the government or your employer to live your life. You are building the bridge yourself. So here is the truth nobody in this country will say out loud. Wealth in Canada does not look like a Range Rover in a Vaughan driveway. It looks like a paid-off Corolla, a maxed-out TFSA, a full night of sleep, and a quiet Sunday morning where nothing is on fire. The pretend rich are performing. The actually rich are resting. If you saw yourself in even 8 of these 15 signs, you have already won the game. You just did not know the scoreboard was invisible. Subscribe and join the quiet few who are building real wealth in silence while the rest of the country is busy looking impressive. Because in Canada, the loudest wallet is almost always the emptiest.